2026 has already started off insanely strong. We've seen major titles like Crimson Desert, Samson, and Resident Evil 9 drop early in the year. But honestly, this year isn't slowing down at all. There are still some huge names coming in the next few months. In this video, we're going to talk about both the biggest, most hyped upcoming games and some really good ones that you might have missed. So yeah, let's get into it. Control Resonant. With Control Resonant, the sequel to Control, Remedy is once again trying to prove why they're one of the best studios out there, and honestly, in my opinion, they already are. After Alan Wake 2, expectations are insanely high, but this time, instead of focusing on Jesse Faden, the story shifts to her brother Dylan, which is a really interesting choice. Dylan moves through a Manhattan that's been completely taken over by the Hiss, and the whole experience feels almost like you're inside an Inception-style reality. It's surreal in the best way possible. Gameplay-wise, it looks like they're pushing things even further, especially in the so-called gravity anomaly zones, where gravity basically stops making sense, and I think that's where the gameplay is going to shine the most. And let's be honest, boss fights, if Remedy is behind them in a world like this, I can't even imagine how creative they're going to be. These could easily become some of the most memorable encounters in recent games. If you like the first Control, I think this is a must-watch title. It's set for a 2026 release, but we still don't know the exact date yet.
But war found me.
Chronicles Medieval. If you're someone who doom scrolls a lot, you've probably seen clips of this game already. And yeah, it surprised a lot of people. Chronicles Medieval is being developed by Raw Power Games, a Copenhagen-based studio made up of developers who worked on games like The Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Cyberpunk 2070. That alone is enough to get attention. The game is aiming for an early access release in 2026, and honestly, what they're trying to do is pretty ambitious. It turns 14th century Europe into a massive sandbox, where you can rise from a poor nobody to a king. The combat system is designed with HEMA experts, so it's heavy, grounded, and realistic. On top of that, you've got large-scale battles where you can command historical units like English longbowmen or French cavalry. And it doesn't stop there. Castle building, diplomacy systems, it's all in. Also, fun detail, Tom Hardy is involved as a narrator. I mean, maybe we'll see Venom in the 14th century. Just kidding. But still, it's a cool touch.
But that's just my story.
Your new life begins.
Subnautica 2. If you've been missing that deep-sea exploration feeling, Subnautica 2 is finally on the way. But this time, we're not on the same planet. Everything is different: the water, the ecosystem, the dangers. The game keeps the original's balance between survival and exploration, but now it also includes multiplayer. And honestly, I remember really wanting to play the first game with a friend, so it's great to finally see co-op being added here. That unique tension is still there. The darkness of the ocean, the isolation, the constant loop of diving deeper and then rushing back to the surface. That's what made the first game special, and it looks like they're keeping that DNA intact. Like the original, it will launch in early access and evolve over time with community feedback. We're getting new creatures, new ecosystem mechanics, and expanded base-building systems. And even if you're not afraid of water, this game creates a very specific kind of discomfort. That feeling when you're in total darkness and something starts glowing in the distance, and you know it's looking at you, that's something else. If you loved the first game, this is a direct continuation, and if you're new, I think it's a perfect entry point. It's expected to release around May 2026. Forza Horizon 6. People have been waiting for this for years, a Forza Horizon game set in Japan. And yeah, it's finally here. We're talking about neon-lit streets of Tokyo, snowy roads in Hokkaido, narrow countryside passes, and open tracks near Mount Fuji. Everything sounds perfect so far, right? Honestly, I think so too. But after some early gameplay footage, people started to get a bit worried. The main concern is that the open world might feel a bit lifeless. And let's be real, racing in a soulless world isn't fun anymore. Still, I personally think the game will turn out good and end up being loved by most players. There's also interesting tech involved. The haptic feedback system, similar to DualSense, is being adapted for PC through steering wheel setups, which could make the driving feel even more immersive. Even if you're not a huge fan of the series, just driving through Japan like this feels like a strong enough reason to try it, in my opinion. And since it's launching on Xbox Game Pass Day 1, it's super easy to jump in and see for yourself. Hell Let Loose, Vietnam. Hell Let Loose was, in my opinion, one of the best games to introduce the World War II atmosphere to this generation. But Vietnam, that's a completely different world and a completely different kind of war psychology. Dense jungles, invisible threats, and an environment where communication and coordination literally mean the difference between life and death. With this new entry or expansion, PRAGMATA Studio is taking the series' core large-scale tactical experience and bringing it into the Vietnam theater. We're talking about 50-player real-time battles, a command structure-based gameplay system, and authentic period equipment, all of which define the core of this formula. Now, integrating Vietnam's intense jungle warfare into a tactical multiplayer format is honestly a huge design challenge. But considering what they achieved with the first game, I personally think they'll find a way to pull it off. If you're into military simulators, this is definitely one to mark on your 2026 calendar. LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. If you see a LEGO game and immediately think this is just for kids, I think you should reconsider that. LEGO games are actually incredibly fun when it comes to gameplay, and they've proven that over the years. This time, TT Games and LEGO are going all in on Batman's mythology. Legacy of the Dark Knight aims to bring together multiple versions of Batman under one roof, from Arkham to Nolan, from Adam West to the animated universe. Honestly, this could end up being the most comprehensive Batman game we've ever seen in LEGO form. The classic LEGO humor and family-friendly action are still here, but with co-op gameplay and a fully explorable Gotham, there's a lot to dive into. Fans of the series are already on board, but I think this is also a great entry point for anyone who just loves the Batman universe.
We got some snoopers over here.
Witchbrook, Chucklefish, the publisher of Stardew Valley, has been working on this game for around 9 years, and honestly, that alone makes it worth paying attention to. Witchbrook is set to release at the end of 2026, and it looks like a really special experience. You enroll in a witch college in a coastal town called Mossport. Over the course of an academic year, you develop your magical abilities, from brewing potions and studying alchemy to reading zodiac signs and practicing spells. There are romance options, friendship systems, and even customizable homes and gardens. Plus, it supports up to 4-player online co-op. The pixel art style already looks beautiful. Every frame feels handcrafted. In my opinion, this game has the potential to take the cozy formula that Stardew Valley popularized and evolve it into something deeper, but in a magical setting. Yes, the wait has been long, but Chucklefish's no-crunch philosophy usually results in games that are worth that wait. Outbound, a camper van, open roads, and your friends. Can something this simple really be this appealing? Honestly, I think yes. Outbound is already sitting at over 1.2 million wish lists. Developed by Squareglade Games, this co-op caravan adventure is all about exploring and surviving together with your friends. You can customize your vehicle, gather resources, and set up camps in natural environments. The entire design is built around co-op, creating a very social gaming experience. It's set to release at the end of April, and I genuinely think a lot of people are going to love this. It feels like proof that a simple idea, when executed well, can become something really special. This isn't a game for people looking for complex systems. It's for those who want to turn the experience of simply spending time together into gameplay. Co-op journey games are becoming a bigger category this year, and Outbound might actually lead that trend. This is a world designed for people who travel together, cook together, and share the road. Road to Vostok. This game is being developed by a single developer from Finland, and honestly, that alone deserves respect. I've always personally loved games made by solo developers, and Road to Vostok is a perfect example of why. It's a hardcore single-player survival game set in a Cold War-era Finnish border region. The design is minimal, with almost no UI, focusing entirely on immersion. The Steam demo already received a lot of attention, and fun fact, while writing this script, I'm actually downloading the demo myself. There's something really inspiring about one person trying to achieve what massive studios with unlimited budgets often struggle to do. The atmosphere is intense, the design feels consistent, and most importantly, it feels real. Phantom Blade Zero. In my opinion, this could be the Black Myth Wukong of this year, one of those games that just explodes in popularity when it releases. The gameplay footage has already impressed almost everyone, and honestly, the game looks incredible. You play as Soul, an elite assassin accused of killing the leader of a powerful organization called the Order. He has 66 days to prove his innocence, and every time you die, that timer drops by 1 day. This time pressure directly affects both the narrative and the gameplay, which I think is a really interesting design choice. There are 30 main weapons and 20 Phantom phantom edge weapons, each with unique animations and techniques. The combat system is heavily inspired by classic Hong Kong action cinema, with motion capture performed by real martial artists. The developers even created their own term for the game's style, Kung Fu Punk. And honestly, that alone sounds insanely cool. Mark your calendars, September 8th, 2026, because I really think when this game drops, a lot of people are going to stop what they're doing and pay attention. Deep Rock Galactic, Rogue Core. Deep Rock Galactic is, in my opinion, one of the most beloved co-op games of this generation, and now, Ghost Ship Games is taking that formula and pushing it into roguelite territory. With Rogue Core, they're basically taking everything that made DRG special, dark caves, creative firepower, and that tight teamwork-focused gameplay, and layering it with a roguelite system that makes every single run feel different. You've got survival builds, temporary upgrades, and progression systems that carry over between runs. It's that classic roguelite loop, but blended perfectly with the DRG universe. And honestly, if there's one studio that I trust with this kind of transition, it's Ghost Ship Games. They've always been super transparent and community-focused. This time, the rock and stone spirit is being pushed into a new question. How deep can a single run really go? For fans of the series, this is basically perfect, like butter on bread. And if you've never played DRG before, I think this could actually be a really welcoming entry point. Solarpunk. The name says everything. Solarpunk isn't just a game. It's trying to represent an entire movement, both politically and aesthetically. Instead of the usual dystopian worlds, this game puts you in a future built on renewable energy, harmony with nature, and sustainable growth. You're building a community, managing resources, and creating a city, but the philosophy behind it is completely different. Visually, the game looks stunning. The color palette, the biophilic design, the way nature and technology blend together, it really stands out in the genre. Normally, games like this ask, what are we going to build? But Solarpunk adds another layer. What kind of future do we actually want to design? And honestly, that's what makes it interesting to me. I can't help but feel some satisfactory vibes here, especially in terms of efficiency and system design. And personally, I'm definitely going to play this one. Gothic 1 Remake. If you played Gothic 1 back in the day, you probably remember just how impressive it was for 2001. Now imagine that same game, rebuilt with modern technology. That's exactly what we're getting. The colony of Korinis, greedy overseers, criminal factions, and complex power dynamics. It's like returning to a world you already know, but seeing it in a completely new light. THQ Nordic and Alchemia Interactive are clearly focusing on preserving the original atmosphere and dialogue style, which is honestly the most important part. What made Gothic special was its harsh, unforgiving world, and the way NPC interactions felt genuinely alive, something that, even today, a lot of open-world games still struggle to achieve. For those who played the original, this is going to hit hard with nostalgia. And for new players, I think this is a perfect opportunity to experience one of the roots of the RPG genre. If you care about RPG history at all, in my opinion, this remake is absolutely unmissable. Marvel, TOKON Fighting Souls. If you're into fighting games like Tekken or Street Fighter, and you also love Marvel, then honestly, this game might feel like a hidden treasure just for you. Bringing Marvel's massive roster into a traditional versus fighting game format is always risky, but when it works, it can be legendary. TOKON Fighting Souls aims to take classic 2D fighting mechanics and merge them with Marvel's visual identity, while still being a competitive experience. And I think the biggest question here is going to be balance. How distinct each character feels in gameplay, how well the systems are tuned. Those things will determine how long this game actually lasts in the competitive scene. Considering how iconic Marvel vs. Capcom still is, it's completely natural that expectations for a game like this are high. And honestly, I'm really curious to see if it can live up to that legacy. Onimusha, Way of the Sword. Capcom has finally decided to wake up Onimusha. After making a huge impact with 3 major titles between 2002 and 2004, the series went completely silent for years, and now in 2026, it's coming back with Way of the Sword. We're talking feudal Japan, samurai, demon hunting, and that very specific atmosphere that made the original game stand out. This time, we have a new protagonist who carries the legacy of the old games, while new mechanics bring a more modern feel to that classic formula. And honestly, looking at Capcom's recent track record with remakes and revivals, I think it's completely fair to be optimistic here. They've been incredibly consistent lately. The signature combat rhythm of the series and its creature designs rooted in Japanese mythology are expected to return in full force. For players who experienced Onimusha back in the day, this feels like a true comeback. Far Far West is a 1-4-player co-op action game where you play as a robot cowboy, and honestly, even that idea alone already sounds fun to me. Together with your team of robotic gunslingers, you hunt down targets, complete contracts, and stack up money as you go. From cursed mines filled with reanimated skeletons, to sudden violent storms, to massive ghost trains appearing out of nowhere. Every direction you look feels like a new kind of threat, and in my opinion, that unpredictability makes the world a lot more exciting. The most creative part of the game, though, is definitely its gameplay system, especially the combination of weapons and magic. You can switch between your revolver and something like a fireball instantly, and even combine different spells to take down enemies more efficiently. That mix of classic gunplay and supernatural abilities gives the combat a really unique flow. Honestly, the game both looks good and feels like it's going to be genuinely fun to play. And I'll say this, if you jump in with friends, I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy it even more.
Don't you have a name or something?
PRAGMATA. Capcom originally announced this game back in 2021, and then it just went completely silent for a long time. Now it's finally coming back into focus. PRAGMATA is a sci-fi action-adventure set on the moon, where two characters, Hugh and Diana, work together to uncover a mystery. And honestly, just seeing how Capcom's RE engine handles a surreal, almost otherworldly lunar environment is already enough to make this interesting. At the center of the story is the relationship between a child and an adult, which seems to form the emotional backbone of the game. And if Capcom handles that well, it could really stand out. Considering how strong Capcom has been in recent years, I personally think it makes more sense to approach this game with curiosity rather than skepticism. It's set to release in April 2026, and after such a long wait, it feels like something they've been carefully building for a while. And honestly, I don't even want to guess what we'll find on the moon.
He could have saved the Titan.
Breathedge 2, in the space survival genre, Breathedge really stood out, mainly because of its absurd humor mixed with surprisingly grounded survival mechanics. And the second game looks like it's keeping that exact spirit alive. You're stranded in space, running out of oxygen, crafting tools from debris around you, and constantly dealing with unexpected situations. That's the core of the experience. But this time, there's a big addition: multiplayer. So instead of going through that survival struggle alone, you can now share the experience with friends. And I think that changes the dynamic in a really interesting way. You can kind of think of it as the space equivalent of what Subnautica does underwater, but with a much more chaotic, humorous tone that doesn't take itself too seriously. If you like survival games but don't enjoy overly hardcore simulations, this feels like a perfect middle ground. It manages to deliver a real sense of survival while also letting you enjoy the satire. And honestly, that balance is pretty rare in this genre. Atomic Heart 2, Mundfish's first game in 2023, was honestly a real surprise. It brought this unique Soviet biopunk aesthetic, iconic character designs, and a world that sometimes felt like pure genius, and other times like complete chaos. But it was always original, and in my opinion, that world design was easily the strongest part of the entire experience. It just looked incredible and felt different from anything else. So now the big question is, where does the sequel go from here? Because let's be real, the identity of Atomic Heart comes from that originality, and I think what will really define Atomic Heart 2 is how far they're willing to push that weird creative world even further. Do they play it safe, or do they go even deeper into that madness? For players who want to return to Major P3 and that bizarre universe, this is easily one of the most intriguing games to watch in 2026. And what's interesting is that despite some mixed opinions from critics about the first game, a huge portion of players still wanted a sequel. That doesn't happen very often. So I'm really curious, what do you think this game is going to be like? If you enjoyed the video, you can subscribe to the channel to stay updated on the upcoming videos.